Welcome, everyone. Welcome back. My name is Lynette Davis of A&D Media, and I want to welcome you to this episode of Marketing Superheroines and Superheroes Unite. Now, you know how I do. I like to cut straight to the chase. So I want to welcome my very special guest, Shannon Hernandez of the writingwhisperer.com. Welcome, Shannon.
Hi, thanks so much for having me.
Awesome, awesome. So, Shannon, I am going to jump right in and get this thing rolling, get this party started.
Awesome. Let's do it.
Awesome, awesome. So, Shannon, tell me, you know what, before I even go there, because do you prefer being called Shannon or M. Shannon?
I prefer being called Shannon, but I would love to tell the story. It goes with the content today of why everything I have is branded M. Shannon Hernandez.
Perfect. So we'll go ahead right into that then.
Okay, good.
So you can give us a background on that. So tell me a little bit about yourself and how you serve the world with your USP, your unique superpowers.
Awesome. So I love writing, and I love writing nonfiction. So that's a good mix for entrepreneurs. There's a lot of content we have to produce to keep our businesses rolling right along. So my unique superpower is actually teaching entrepreneurs how to develop their brand voice. And your brand voice is that voice that is distinctive to your brand. It's what people come to know you by. And brand voice is made up of a few things, but to keep it simple, it's generally made up of like the words you use over and over. Also, the tone of how you write. So, are you like an upbeat person? Are you serious? Are you kind of like in your face? Whatever your tone is of your writing, and then your values in your brand and how you convey those values to your audience.
Awesome, awesome. Now, you said something about the words that you use over and over. I think that's a great lead in into the fact that you use M. Shannon over and over in the content that you produce and how you sign off on your thing. So, do you mind telling us a little bit about that?
Sure. So when I started looking for myself online, which is when I wanted to become a business owner, I'm like, oh, let's Google my name, Shannon Hernandez, and let's see what happens. And actually what I found was tons of ladies in prison outfits that had mugshots.
Awesome.
And I also found there's a man, uh, his name is Shannon Hernandez, but he has a very famous radio show on YouTube called Shan Man. And so he was kind of dominating the space. And so I decided that to keep things I wanted unique to me so that when anyone ever searched me, they would find just me. And my first name is Mary, but I've always gone by Shannon. So I just decided to do M. Shannon Hernandez. The book I've authored is that, like everywhere I am, it's M. Shannon Hernandez. But I do go by Shannon. But that's the story behind that for branding purposes, because I wanted to own my own name and not have that defined for me.
Awesome, awesome. And I can imagine that in doing so, it's much easier for you to get your social media profiles under that name as well, instead of somebody coming up with the orange pantsuit.
Right. Right.
Awesome, awesome. You know what? I never actually thought about things like that because there is a young lady who passed away under the same name as me. And
Hmm.
it was recent. When I first started, she did not appear, but after her death, a lot of people wrote about her, and then her name started coming up. So something to keep in mind.
Yes, it is. Google yourself, especially if you're starting out in business. And it could be something like I could have done if my name was Shannon Mary or something. I could have done Shannon M. Hernandez, like just as well. But it's a great little tip for branding and to kind of help yourself stand out in what you're doing.
Absolutely, absolutely. I totally agree. It's especially like you said when you're first starting out. That initial research will take you many places. So speaking of taking you other places, one of the reasons that I found you was via social media. And there's so much noise on social media. However, you intrigued me and you stood out. So with that being said, I kind of just want to open up some dialogue about some of the common obstacles that people have. For example, being one of many people on social media and being able to stand out and catch the attention of someone. So, what is your understanding about the interaction between what you do, which is helping people develop their brand voice, and the use of social media?
Oh, that's a very good question. Can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay, good. So, you're right. It's noisy on social media, and I would love to ask you, this may not be appropriate, but what it was that I was doing that stood out, because that's good market research for myself. But one of the things I really believe in and I talk about a lot is the power of being authentic in your brand and developing this brand voice that is unique to you. And what I mean by that is I'm a copywriter and a content strategist, and I deal with all things words and branding. And there are lots of other people who do what I do, but nobody can say it like I say it. And so that's the difference, I think, right? Like there's a lot of copywriters who blog, there's a lot of copywriters who use social media, but I want to develop a unique brand voice that when somebody logs into Facebook or Twitter, without even looking at my picture or my name, they know it's me because of the words and the tone that I'm using. And I believe that you can do everything that you want to do in business. I really have started serving heart-centered entrepreneurs um, because we want to be successful, but we don't want to feel like we have to sell out and we have to shout and we have to do all these kind of bullying tactics, is what I call it, to kind of get heard. And so your brand voice is really what helps you stand out online. And I think the biggest compliment I receive, and you and I have had the fortune to meet in person at a couple of things we've been at, is people say to me, "Oh my gosh, you're just like you are on social media when I meet you in person." Like,
Yeah,
and that's a really big compliment because you can be whoever you want on social media, but I think it'll come back and haunt you if you're not your authentic self when you start meeting people in person from online.
absolutely, absolutely. I'll go back to your question. I don't mind answering, but I'll keep it short and sweet because this is about me. But to answer your question, it actually goes in line with the answer you just gave.
Hmm.
Um, when we met, there were several things that trigger. Your profile first attracts me because that's what it is. You had a picture there, not an egg. um, the second thing is at that time you were tweeting about another event through somebody else that I have interviewed on a different show, which was Renetta of Women Are Game Changers.
Yep.
And so guilty by association helped you out as well. In that instance, it was a good guilty.
Yeah, good.
um, and then it also was the tone in which you talk. Like I could tell that I was speaking to a real person, even if it wasn't you. It made me feel good enough to want to continue a conversation with you online. Until eventually, I did notice a pattern of you always, like I said, because sometimes you don't know if you're actually talking to the person or not. But you know what? A lot of people feel bad about that. I think it's actually good when you can't tell the difference.
Mm.
So that means that you have your brand down packed enough that you're able to scale it so that somebody else can basically be able to, I don't want to say manipulate it, but be able to carry out what you already do. And we can go deeper into that in a whole
Sure.
nother another level. But I'll leave it at that. So just real quick, I would say association, the initial look, and your consistency.
Awesome. Thank you.
You're welcome. So, and you know what? Speaking of consistency, because I know that consistency takes time, and that's not always something that we have when we are busy doing what we do. So, so do you have a favorite tool that you use to help you stay consistent online?
I'm in the middle of kind of reworking how I'm going to do social media for the new year. I'm going through a rebrand again,
Awesome.
which is good. It's a lot of work, but it's good. Um, I use Hootsuite. I don't know. I've tried Buffer. I couldn't schedule enough without, paying whatever needed to happen. Um, I really use Hootsuite to schedule tweets. I have moved away a lot from I was doing a lot of scheduling of tweets. I mean, I had a book that I was promoting and programs I was promoting, and I took a step back and I really looked at my timeline on Twitter from the perspective of somebody who might just come there and land there and see what it looked like. And I realized that if a random person had come onto my Twitter feed, they might see 12, 14, 16 tweets, maybe a blog post, a thing about my book, a thing about a program, but they wouldn't necessarily see me interacting so much with other people. And as you know, one of the big things in my brand is building relationships with people. And so I've kind of taken a step back and looked at things from that point of view. Um, so Hootsuite I use to schedule, although I've kind of backed off a little because I'm in the process of really evaluating how I want that feed to look like if some stranger shows up there. Um, so that's my best tool, I would say, and I like it. I like it a lot. I get some analytics from it, and I can kind of figure out what people are clicking and what's working.
Awesome. Awesome. And you know what? You said something very important. So out about that, you were taking a step back from scheduling a whole bunch of tweets, and I think everybody has different reasonings behind what they do and everything like that. But for you, it was more important that if somebody just came, that they saw that you were interacting and things of that nature, trying to build a relationship. Can you now I know this is all in the works,
Sure.
but what made you feel like you needed to kind of take a step back in order to do that?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So one of the things I've been very frustrated with, and people in my entrepreneur circles and networking groups, they know this because I've just been like drilling at home for the past 3 months. I am really frustrated with networking in New York City as it is right now. And I've talked to people and they assure me it's not just New York City, like these kind of things are happening everywhere. And what it is, you go out to a networking event, whatever, you go out, you go to have fun, you go to meet some people, you make a good connection, 2 or 3 or 4. I'm not saying you hand out 60 business cards. Like, I don't do that. That's not what I do when I network. And then you come home and you follow up and you never hear anything again from people. And this is a bigger issue, and it's something that I'm really going to work very hard in 2015 to be a leader in the realm of building authentic relationships. And so this is kind of where this started, was with in-person networking. And then I thought, well, if I want to build relationships with people that I meet on Twitter, which I do, or people that I meet on Facebook, I wonder what my feed looks like to random people coming in and kind of checking me out and seeing what it looks like. And that's how I was able to take a step back and say, wait, maybe I shouldn't be talking about, I mean, I have good stuff. People love the blogs. They love the information. The people that are attached to my memoir, they like that. But it's not personal if it's always just generated from somewhere. And so what I've been doing now is I've actually been going the last week. I've taken 15 minutes a day. I've started going through Twitter and like unfollowing people who just aren't relevant anymore to what I'm doing. And the next phase is I'm going to start building lists, which I know you can do somehow. I haven't done it yet.
Yeah.
Lists so that I can put people into categories, so to speak. And then I'm going to start reaching out one by one to people that look interesting to me that I'd like to somehow foster a relationship. And so I'm really working on this idea of quality over quantity in life and in person and in social media, and that's kind of what's framed this whole kind of step back and look at it point of view.
Awesome. Shannon, you get it. You really, really get it. I wish Half of the people that I talk to will come out and say that. I'm saying that on this recording. I don't even care because that's how I truly feel. But Shannon, you really, really get it. I didn't even have to ask you the question about it because you totally said exactly what I was thinking and exactly where I wanted that conversation to go. So thank you for that.
Yay. I would like to say something too that, so I tried for the first time. So I went to a networking event last 2 weeks ago, and I knew there were going to be 100 people there, which to me was very scary. Like, I love people, but when I'm networking, I am all about building one-on-one intimate relationships so that I can help you in your business. We can help each other. So going somewhere with 100 people was very overwhelming to me. Anyway, I went and I talked to 6 people that night, and they were all very lovely. In fact, they were the only 6 who got my cards, and at the end of the night, I left. After those 6 people, I was like, I feel good. I'm going to leave now. I still feel good about this. And I went home and I went to bed, and I got up the next day and I said, okay, how can I get these people on the phone? Because I really liked them. One I think would be really great. She's been trying to write a memoir for several years, and I thought I would love to talk to her about that and see if she wants to do some coaching. One I thought would be a really great referral partner. He does website design, and people need copy, and I could refer both ways. So anyway, I wrote a little script, and I'm going to share it here. And it was a very vulnerable, heart-centered script, more so than what I've ever sent out before. And I also used Time Trade, and I made a link that people could book time on my calendar called a virtual coffee chat. And so I wrote this little script, and the script said, "Dear so-and-so," and I put like something personal that I remembered about them. And then I said, "I am a firm believer that in life we flourish when we build relationships and friendships and help each other with what's important to us. If you are interested in having a virtual coffee chat so we can figure out how we can work together and help one another, please click this link." And would you know that within 36 hours, every single one of those person had clicked the link and booked a conversation with me.
Awesome. Awesome.
And I feel really good about that. And yes, it takes longer, but I'm okay with things taking longer because it's quality over quantity, which is something I preach all the time.
And live, and that's the difference.
Thank you.
That is the difference. You preach it and you practice what you preach. And you gave those of us who are looking in 2015 to take our business to the next level. And I believe that sometimes it is all about, I'm sitting here with my purple pen.
Hey, I have a purple pen too.
Yay! I love purple pens. They're like they put me in a happy place.
Me too.
Oh gosh. So where was I going with that? Yeah. So I believe that if we want to do that, if we want to take our business to the next level, sometimes it's about simplicity. It's about going back to the basics, the very basics of our simple human nature, which is our need to connect and to build on one another, encourage each other, and take each other to where we can go. And I'm a firm believer in teamwork makes the dream work.
Yep. I agree with that.
Awesome. So speaking of teamwork makes the dream work, I am just doing great with these lead-ins today. It must be because it's Friday.
It could be your guest.
Yes. I'm going to say that too. You're making this conversation run so smooth and easy for me. I think that's because you are a brand strategist and a writer, so you're making my conversation flow.
Yeah.
Because of the power of words. What a unique superpower. So, speaking of teamwork makes the dream work, in order to do these things, in order to connect with these people one-on-one, because it is slower, it does require time. It's kind of like, and I'm dating it, I'm probably dating myself a little bit because I think a lot of people still think I'm in my early 20s. Look, I'm And I don't want them to think otherwise. But there was a commercial. It was a Chef Boyardee commercial, I think, or maybe it was a soup commercial. And she was stirring real slow, and the guy is like, "I want to eat." The kid wants to eat, and she's like, "No, this takes time. Quality, this food takes time to cook." And they wanted it all fast, but I actually kind of agree with the old grandma.
Yeah.
Good stuff takes time. So because of that, because you need that time, and that's something, building relationships is something you and only you can do, not necessarily the starting of it or the initiating or the finding of those resources to get you to those events that got you those 6 quality people. Because I believe there's even if we don't do it intentionally, there is even strategy within that for you to even know which event to go to, your instincts to know which 6 people to kind of gear yourself towards. So with that being said, you being able to do that, is that, I'm not going to completely assume because we have worked together. But I know that you are able to do those things because you do have a team of support around you in many, many facets. So can you tell me, in your experience, what kind of activities do you suggest for somebody who can actually afford to let go some of the pieces of their baby so that they can do more of what you are getting the chance to do in 2015?
Good. That's a really great question. And I want to say, and I've said this a million times, anyone that has heard me speak or read my stuff on my blog or Huffington Post, you can generally afford what you put your mind to. And people, entrepreneurs who are looking to barter, constantly, try and exchange services, that's a whole level of something called return on intention, is what I call it. And so, excuse me, you have to be willing to invest in your business. I'm going to say it from the beginning. And I know a lot of people probably say, oh, yeah, well, she's successful. Well, guess what? I started like everyone else at ground zero. And when I started at ground zero, before I had any clients, before I had any income, I knew that to build my business how I wanted to build it, I needed help. And so most people don't know that my business is only 21 months old. I'm in the 3rd rebrand. I, from the gate, hired a business coach, a virtual assistant, an accountant, and a website person. And I would recommend all of those, minus maybe the accountant. You could probably do that stuff on your own from the beginning. And if you cannot write or you do not feel confident in your writing, you need a copywriter on your team, because you will not sell things if your copy is bad. And I am a copywriter, and I say that, and I need to write a blog about that. And if you don't understand content and content strategy and how to get all of your content in order so that you can fill your programs, so that you can write those coaching programs you want to write, so that you understand what your brand voice is on various channels, then a content strategist is also somebody that you should consider working with. I do both of those things, content strategy and copywriting. So thankfully, I didn't have to add those to my team, but you have to be willing to invest in your business. If you're not, it's a hobby. And that is so said so often, but most of the time people say if you're not making any money, it's a hobby. But I say if you're not investing in your business, it's a hobby. You cannot grow a business by yourself. There's absolutely no way to do it.
Absolutely, absolutely. And to kind of channel, I love writing, actually. And I do consider myself a writer, although I am more of a fiction writer than nonfiction. But through to business, I write nonfiction. I cannot edit myself for crap. And therefore, one of the first members of my team, and you already know Autumn, was a copywriter. So you could kind of tell when something was something Lynette wrote and something that Autumn edited for me.
Yep. I get it. And you know what? There's nothing wrong with it. It's like we're not meant, our superpower is our superpower. And I need help in other areas, and it's fine. But you have to be willing to invest in those. You can't think you're going to get ahead in business by constantly bartering. And I believe what you invest comes back. And yeah, I'm going to leave it at that.
Awesome. No, and you're right. And I believe that as well. Because honest to goodness, everything that I have invested, and I don't say this lightly, I started A&D with, I have it on my board in front of me, less than $200 in a dream. And all of it has come back tenfold when I took that risk, because even that less than $200 was me and my business partner, the A of A&D. That was our last pennies.
Yep.
And here we are today. So, Shannon, you have given us such invaluable information. I didn't even ask for strategy. This is why I love how we just let conversations flow, because they'll come out anyway, especially when you are a marketing superheroine. So, Shannon, on behalf of myself and our viewers, I thank you so much for your time and your knowledge.
Thank you very much for having me.
And can you leave us with maybe one more takeaway, or if you have any special offer that you would like to leave with our viewers before you head out?
Sure. So I have a really great resource. It's a free downloadable on my website. It's a special report called 20 Ways to Brand Yourself Through Content. And people really, really love it. So if you'd like to check that out, you can. It's on the sidebar. Feel free to download it. And my website is www.thewritingwhisperer.com. And I'm on Twitter. I'm on Facebook. You'll find me there, and I'd love to connect with you.
Awesome. Awesome. Shannon, thanks again.
Thank you so much.
And everyone, thank you so much for tuning in. Until next time, take care.